cold flow. Hit him with another line, dope ho. Lane with the southern dime, fly like Jordan, fade in the summertime. Tan bras, skin like cinnamon. They can always get it up, so I get it in. Got pills in my pockets.
Hello, fellow viewers. I know I said I wanted to keep the MLP content at a distance from my regular content, but I figured we can squeeze in one last review until who knows how long. Today we're diving into a bit of an interesting piece of Equestria Girls media, a special that's infamous for quite a lot of things. The special we will be taking a look at today is Spring Breakdown, which came out in March 30th of 2019. So, what do you say we start breaking down what happens in this mini-film? I regret my life decisions. So there's a lot of stuff on my mind after watching this, but I'm just gonna immediately vent about the biggest glaring flaw I have with this special. Yeah, we ain't wasting time with this one, so be ready to brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Rainbow Dash is an absolute scumbag in this special. She is completely out of her element throughout the entire 44 minutes. I can't believe how she kept wanting to flip ahead in the script. She kept itching for the big ending instead of living in the moment and giving the plot time to unfold. I desperately want to get into ranting about how botched RD is here, but I suppose I should explain the story so that the context is clear. So let's hurry up and get that over with, shall we? It starts off with the main seven and most of their fellow classmates on a giant boat, or a yacht for all you wealthy people. So, it's implied that Twilight's the one that arranged all of this for everybody. Huh, I guess being a nerdy genius makes you rich if you can afford a yacht this big. But seriously, is nobody gonna question how she was able to afford this? Sure, it's thoughtful, but what we're about to get into is gonna make things all the more depressing. Just you wait. Things turn out pretty smooth at the start, per usual, but as soon as they all get settled, Rainbow Dash immediately assumes that something will happen on the ship that'll include evil magic. Which I guess would make sense given her character and how they've been having to deal with a lot of magical battles lately. If I didn't know better, I'd say she's been looking a bit too far into the script to immediately be thinking all of that, like I mentioned earlier. I feel during the last few years of this show's run, they started to make it feel like one of those shows where the good guys just want to chill and avoid all of the world-saving stuff, which is pretty cliche. But I feel you can still make a cliche enjoyable by simply just reinventing the wheel every now and then with said cliche, which the series does like to do for the most part. Anyway, the rest of the girls want things to remain at ease for the moment, except for Dash, of course. Then the main seven go off and enjoy themselves on the ship. Or at least try to, because up next is where things start to get insufferable. Pinkie Pie goes to a buffet and tries to eat a triple choco berry blasted butter biscuit bun. Okay, let's just go with chocolate cake since I can actually say that without stuttering. But then Rainbow Dash comes in and assumes that evil magic is involved with something as mundane as this, as you could have suspected. Then they both get kicked out and banned from the buffet. Alright, Dash I understand, but the fuck did Pinkie do to deserve that? Next, Fluttershy goes to some animal sanctuary and pets some little bunnies, and of course Rainbow comes in and ruins that as well. And finally, Applejack is dealing with her motion sickness some more without anybody helping her, by the way, and then Rainbow ruins that too, I guess? Not much happens in this scene other than Applejack vomiting into the ocean and Rainbow being stupid and saying she's sick because of evil magic or some shit. Girl, you literally just saw her leaning by the ocean and Fluttershy comforting her early on. You can't make this up, man. Yeah, as you can tell, Dash is reaching her lowest of lows here already. Good lord, how far into the movie are we? Holy schnitzel, we're only 6 minutes into the film? Anyhow, after talking with Trixie, oh yeah, she exists in this special, neat. RD assumes that bad magic will show up when they use magic themselves. Then she tells the other girls about it, and again she ends up making a fool out of herself once more. Gotta say though, massive props to Sunset for confronting Dash about her issues here, even though she remains the same directly after. Yeah, sorry, I'm really trying my best to look for the positives here. Also, there's this random plotline where Rarity has the hots for this dude who looks an awful lot like a certain country gal that Rarity tends to hang out with a lot, which the producers even joke about in this scene. And let me just point out that this guy goes by the name Ragamuffin. Does he go around ragging up muffins or something? What do you expect me to believe a guy with a name like that does for a living? Anyway, jokes aside, these moments with the two talking to each other really didn't do it for me, and the special really could have done without them. I'm guessing the crew just needed Rarity to be occupied just like the other girls, and this was somehow the best outcome. Besides, what chemistry do these two even have for each other aside from knowing a thing or two about performing in plays? Nothing, exactly. And I'm a Rarejack fan, so of course I don't approve this crap. Better, so much better. I won't be bringing up these moments for the rest of the review since they don't mean anything to the plot itself. Now we have ourselves a musical number within the special, which is always a nice treat. It's good for what it is, but this is also where the climax is just about to unfold, so if you were getting bored waiting for things to get interesting, can't say I blame you first of all, things do get slightly intriguing. Right in the middle of their performance, Rainbow goes pony mode, and somehow that was enough to have the boat lose all of its power. Then everybody on the ship freaks out like the boat is gonna sink or something. Wow, the folks involved must have really liked Titanic, huh? Of course, Dash is still in belief that evil magic is involved with everything here because that hasn't been shoved in our faces enough times yet, I suppose. But then as we look in the water later on, well, would you look at that? They're really trying to connect the 2017 movie to this special. Honestly, I think this is pretty cool, but just a tad bit forced, which I'll explain later, but back to the story. Rainbow Dash just tries to show the other six the symbol that she saw in the ocean, but surprise, surprise, it's gone. If I had $1 for every time Rainbow made herself look like an idiot, I wouldn't be rich, but I'd probably have enough money to march on over to Hasbro and have them revive the series. This leads into probably one of the most forced character arguments I've seen for a TV show. Just have a look for yourselves.
The magic came from that way. We sail out and find the source. And then? Then it's go time, which means we take no prisoners!
Where would we take them? Who? The prisoners. That's kidnapping! Are you even listening to yourself?
You don't want me to be right because you're scared to be a superhero.
We're not superheroes!
Oh, excuse me. We're just ordinary girls who saved the world from complete destruction multiple times.
In Dash's defense, evil magic did end up being involved with this vacation, but for the build-up to just lead to this cheap banter between the two really made it kind of fall flat for me. Then after all that randomness, which perfectly describes this special, RD sets off to some random island in search of the magic which leads to Sunset and Twilight to try and find her there. Rainbow gets stuck in quicksand, which is right in front of this giant piranha plant knockoff, right when she was apologizing too. And after this, and this, holy crap, plot twist, it was a portal to Equestria! In the mood for a laugh? Then try watching the reactions people had for this exact moment. As for me, I just had a shock on my face for like 3 minutes. Oh yeah, and Twilight's reaction here is an accurate depiction of how a brony would react if they got transported to this world as well. Since they randomly showed up in Equestria, they went straight to the castle where this world's Twilight is, while their friends in the human world are literally on the verge of dying. But soon enough, Twilight tells the three about when they fought the Storm King, and Rainbow notices that the symbol is exactly the same as the one we saw earlier. Turns out some of the Storm King's magic made its way into the other world, and this is when they realize that they should be heading back. So after both the rushed climax and solution, things are back to normal. Except not really. This film seems like it needs more and more drama by the second. Then when the three make it back to the ship, Twilight claims that Rainbow was right all along. And, well, why don't I just let Equestron do the talking for me?
Wait, so the chef really was trying to kill Pinkie Pie? And that rabbit really does eat evil carrots? And Applejack's seasickness was really caused by evil magic?
Rainbow Dash was right all along.
I think you're not getting the full story, Twilight, because methinks Rainbow Dash was only right about one thing.
Go check out his channel, by the way, link in the description. But yeah, just because she was right about evil magic being involved doesn't make her off the hook for the other problems she has caused. Anyway, now it's time for more Sailor Moon pandering. They get everybody off the ship and skedaddle back to the island. So yeah, if all of what I talked about wasn't enough to convince you how extremely loaded this special is, I have no idea what will. Thankfully, we're just about done with the plot description. Oh yeah, and there's also that ending.
We're back!
Oh man, a cliffhanger? I hate those.
Damn right, Knuckles. And that was Equestria Girls' Spring Breakdown. The special is not that good. After trying to summarize the story as best as I could, the best way I can describe my overall thoughts on it are that it's one of the biggest mixed bags in EG history. In terms of ambition and story, there certainly was plenty of that to offer, but in terms of how most of it was handled,
I don't know.
something that could have easily made some of the scenes work a lot better is if the pacing took more time to develop. Also, I've lost count of how many plot holes I've spotted while watching. Like, how did they get back from Equestria? Why did the engine on the lifeboat randomly decide to not work here? Why is the ship taking so long to sink? Could Rainbow Dash not have taken a picture or video of the logo or something? You don't need the internet to open up the camera on a smartphone. And most importantly, why the hell did Pinkie get kicked out of the buffet when she didn't do jack shit? Dude, she could starve to death! Although something I can give props to this special as opposed to something like Roller Coaster of Friendship is that all of the girls at least try to serve a purpose during the climax. While these three head out to find the source of the magic, the rest stay here and try to make sure everyone is safe on the ship. Then by the end of it, they all take part in getting everybody off the ship safely, even though the lead up to that did feel a tad bit underemphasized. But I can't be too cranky doodle about it, since seeing the 7 of them go full on Sailor Moon is always fun to see. While I don't think this special is the worst one or even all that bad, it really could have done so much better to build up to the story. I feel like this whole entire special was basically begging the viewer to be pumped up for the climax way too much. As for the 2017 movie connection, I'd say that was this special's saving grace. Not having a specific antagonist for this was admittedly a little surprising, and we did get some cool moments out of that, which was good enough for me. Oh yeah, and unlike Sunset's Backstage Pass, which had quite a few shorts and choose your own ending segments, Spring Breakdown has none of that, which is a little strange. But I can't complain too much since we did get a music video. Neat. Although I'm very conflicted on whether I should love or hate this one because the musical number is, certainly something. In case you're either too young or too oblivious to know what it's referencing, it's clearly a nod to those pop culture music videos like Turn Down for What or Thrift Shop. The over-the-top air horns further prove that, but my question is, when did they have time to do all this in the special? What's that? Suspension of disbelief? Cheap answer, but alright, I guess I can live with that. Another question is, what was even the moral out of all of this? Don't bring your obnoxious, troublemaking friend with you on your vacation when you just want to get some R&R. But not everything fell flat though, because some of the jokes did get a laugh out of me, like Twilight forgetting to untie the lifeboat from the ship, the scenes where it switches between the human and pony world, and when Flash points at Trixie when RD asks where to find bad magic. Alright, now time to address the elephant in the room. Rainbow Dash. Fucking Rainbow Dash. Why is she so out of her element in this? How many times did they want me to say, alright, I get it, you're the obnoxious and cringy one? But I guess she does have some character development here, but I can't help but think they just made her personality multiply by 1,000 on purpose for the plot to work. And they did. Is this her worst usage in the entirety of G4? Well, it's up there, I'll say that much. However, I still think 28 Pranks Later and 246 Great take the cake for her worst moments. Great, now I gotta find a new favorite character from this franchise. But who? Just for the hell of it, I'm not saying Rainbow shouldn't be over the top and brash, since those are kinda the reasons why she's my favorite. But there's a difference between being over the top and a douche, which this special doesn't understand. Overall, while I don't hate Spring Breakdown, I'd consider it the weakest special out of the entire series. The best way I can possibly describe it is an overhyped mess. The only thing that makes it better than Holiday's mid-wrapped is that this one has a story to tell and is appealing in more than one way. Speaking of appealing, can we talk about the main 7's outfits here for just a quick second? Cause, they're pretty cute and fit them to a T. Quite a good look for them, I must say. I'm gonna regret saying all that, aren't I? Anyway, what's my final verdict for this special? Well, I'd say a 6 out of 10 and a C rank is fitting. The special does have quite a bit going for it, but it's either not handled correctly or just average at best. And again, we really could have done without Rainbow Dash holding the idiot ball for a good chunk of this special. Ugh, I'm tired of saying that word now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to tackle my never-ending quest of job hunting once again. Thank you guys for watching, comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a nice day.
I have a way out of this. Do you trust me?
Of course!
See you soon!